Hi everyone, welcome back. I know it's been a little while since I've done a deck profile. I've just been so crazy busy at the moment, haven't been able to get to locals and try out any decks. But today I'm going to be profiling my updated Drytron list post Lightning Overdrive, obviously with some of the new support. And I'm hoping to get to locals this upcoming week, and we'll see how this deck performs provided all the cards come in on time that I'm waiting on still. So we'll get straight into the list. And okay, starting off, we've got 3 Alpha, 3 Zeta, also playing 2 Delta. I'm playing 2 Gamma, so this build that I'm playing just has a lot of Drytron names. I'm trying to see as many Drytron names as possible in my opening hand, or at least 2 to get into the XEs. So I'm playing double Delta, double Gamma, plus plenty of spells that get us into Drytrons, just so we can get 2 Drytrons onto field to summon out the XE monster. For the fairy portion of the deck, playing 3 Diviner. Now, still waiting on 2. Should have them though by Wednesday. Triple Herald and double Eva. So pretty concise fairy package. Eva can be searched or sent off of Beatrice, which is great, and gets you more negations to use with your Herald. For the rituals, playing 1 of the Drytron ritual monsters, playing the Herald of Ultimateness, playing the 1 Benten, the 1 Idaten, and my 1 random tech choice is Soravis. Just trialing it, because if you open up pretty much any of these 3, any one of these 3, so one of the search targets that you would search throughout the typical combo, you can search for Soravis instead, because the XEs kind of does fall very hard to Effect Veiler and Imperm, both of which people play quite consistently at my locals. So I'm going to try Soravis. It's an extra ritual monster I can search. Pretty much it's just in the place of Natasha, I would suppose you'd put it there. So we'll see how the Soravis goes. If it comes up, awesome. If it doesn't, we're just testing it out, really. Going into the spells, playing 3 Nova, 2 Fafnir, and 1 of the ritual spell, just so we can see more copies of Nova. Obviously these 5 are all extra copies of Drytron names because Fafnir would search Nova. And then we've got our 1 ritual spell. At one point I was trialing 2, but see how 1 goes. DD Crow isn't super big at my locals, or hasn't been. I don't know with the new format, because I really haven't been at all. So we'll see. For the rest of the spells, again, more consistency. So Emergency and Foolish Burial. These are just more copies of Drytron names. And then Called by the Grave. I think my list at the moment is 42 cards, which is quite a number. It's not 40, but that's okay. And then the last slots are Triple Effect Veiler, Triple Dark Ruler No More, and double Twin Twisters. And my locals is quite a control heavy format, so having the Twin Twisters is helpful. And Effect Veiler obviously is a level 1, so we can summon out the Xyz monster. And that's the main deck, which is, like I said, I think it's 42 cards. The extra deck, playing 1 of the XEs, 1 Beatrice, 1 Zeus, 1 Downed Magician, and 1 Lyrilusk rank 1. Downed's really good because it can obviously go on top of Mubeta or the Lyrilusk. That's the XEs monsters. Playing 1 Herald and 1 Entis as Diviner targets to send. And then for Link monsters, playing Appaloosa, Access Code Talker is my Link 4 of choice. I'm playing Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus for the Nightmares. I'm playing IFP Masquerena, Herald of Mirage Lights, which will probably be a liner on the night. I'm just sourcing a copy still, and one Link Kuribo, though if the liner doesn't come in, Herald will be fine to use. So that is the extra deck. And then the side deck, just something I've quickly thrown together, is triple Droll, triple Lancia, and then for our control matchups, Twister, Harpy's Featherduster, and Red Reboot, +3 evenly matched. And to go in first, 3 a pointer of the Red Lotus to try and pull out the problem card, because if you're going first, your combo is already very strong, and a pointer is just to help against any card that might break the board following that. But that's the deck, and I'll just go into some combos now. Alright, so I'm going to show you just the main combo that the deck is trying to achieve. So this is just standard Alpha and Zeta, plus just 3 other cards. So we'll start by using Alpha by tributing Zeta to summon. And then Alpha, of course, will search Ben 10. We'll then use the Zeta Engrave, tributing the Ben 10 to summon out. And Zeta will grab the Ritual spell. And Ben 10 is going to search for Diviner. Now, depending on your hand, you'll search different things depending on what you've already opened. If, for example, if you've already opened Diviner, then you can search the next piece, or if you've already got one fairy but you need the Herald of Orange Light, you can search Orange Light to just give you a little bit more security. From here, we can overlay our 2 Drytrons into Mu Beta Fafnir, who on summon will send to grave a Gamma. We can then activate the Ritual spell by detaching from Mu Beta to bring out Ben 10. And we can use Gamma Engrave, tributing Ben 10 to summon out, bringing out the other Drytron alongside it, and then the Ben 10 in the grave will trigger to grab the Editon. We can now target a Drytron, so we'll target the Xyz here and add back the Ritual spell, which we can use again, taking the other material off the Mu Beta to bring out the Editon, and the Editon will trigger to add Meteorus back to hand. From here we can normal summon Diviner, and Diviner is going to send to the graveyard our Herald of the Arclight, which will add our Herald of Ultimateness. Now, if we had a fairy in hand, we could get that Herald onto the field straight away. So again, we'd be protected. We don't in this instance. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Diviner and Editon, because Diviner will become 6, because 2 and 4 is 6, to overlay into Beatrice. And detach Diviner, specifically, it's important, to then send Eva. Eva's effect has to banish other fairies, so we'll banish Diviner and Herald because we don't need either of them anymore. And we're going to search Orange Light, and of course that's our proxy Diviner. We're now very free to summon out our Herald of Ultimateness, not from there, from hand, obviously. And lastly, we can turn Zeta and move Beta into IP. And that's the standard kind of end board for our turn. Once we get to our opponent's turn, we can detach from Idaten detach the Idaten from Beatrice to send Eva. And Eva has to banish, again, other fairies. So we can banish the Eva and the Idaten or the Benton. Either one. To search for Herald and Diviner again. Now your hand might make this different or to change it differently depending on what your other 3 cards were, but this gives us 4 negate and destroys with Herald, plus we can IP using itself and Beatrice into something like Unicorn. If we really needed to, we could IP everything away into an Appaloosa later on. We would obviously try and hold Diviner. It just gives us another play on the next turn if we can. But that's the standard Alpha Zeta that we'll be mainly going for. So what I'll do now is I'll shuffle up, do some test hands. Now if it's just going to be a very standard combo, I'll just, if we've got a combo that's just very standard, I'll just say we've got the combo and go to the next hand. But if it's something more interesting, we'll play it out. But we'll just do some really quick ones just to see if we can play the game. Okay, well this first one is not very good at all. We can do absolutely nothing with this. This will be a absolute loss if that was our hand. We'd be called by the grave and that's it. Okay, for number 2. Wow. Usually this is very consistent, but 2 hands in a row, we've not really opened anything of use because we have 3 copies of Nova, which is not what we want to see. So that's 2 very terrible hands. If we could try and get something that's actually playable. Okay, well there we go, that's obviously playable. This is obviously very playable, so we've got lots of Drytrons. We'll play this out and we'll see how far we can go because we've got access to every Drytron name already. So it's really interesting. Let's see what happens. So we'll use Alpha straight up. We'll tribute the Benton and it will summon. Now because we've already had access to Benton, as I was talking about in the deck profile, we could search the Saravis here just to really insulate our plays as our ritual search of Alpha, and then Benton will trigger. We obviously haven't got access to our Diviner, so we'll grab that. And that's just going to mean our XEs will not get stopped by Imperm. Okay, from here we can use the Zeta, we can get rid of the Gamma, oops, it's off the deck, to summon, search our ritual spell, and now we can go into our Xyz. Now, because we already had access to Gamma, we'll try and actually probably just hold the emergency here as a bit of a contingency, depending on what our opponent would do. Because Drytron Rebeta can send any card. We could actually, we could even send the ritual. Actually, we could probably add the ritual later. We'll see. We probably don't need to use it, but we'll just send Delta, just as another name. Okay, we can obviously our normal summon our Diviner, send our Herald, and Herald can add. The Editon. We can activate Medionis, take a material off our Mu Beta to, it doesn't really matter which way we do this, but we can bring our Editon here, target our Mu Beta to add back, oh sorry, our Editon effect will add back our ritual spell, and we could do this here. We can overlay our 2 6s for Beatrice, and here we can use Beatrice to detach, send Eva. This order is probably a better order to do than what I was showing before in the first video, the first test hand, because now by banishing our 2 fairies here, we haven't used Gamma yet, but we've got our orange light plus a fairy as some protection from something like a Nibiru should that occur. From here we can now use Medionis, get rid of the other material off Mu Beta to bring out Ben 10. And we can now tribute the Ben 10 for Gamma Engrave. And bring back one of our already used Drytrons. Ben 10 will search the Herald here. Now we can target Mu Beta, add back Ritual Spell, and we can use Delta Engrave, get rid of the Herald, summon out, reveal Ritual Spell, draw 1 card, which is great. It's just going to be another follow-up for next turn. So like these, we're not going to really need these at all. These will be great follow-up for next turn. From here, we can consolidate some of our cards now. So we'll Medionis, get rid of a Drytron for Herald. And this time we do have 1 extra body. So we can obviously make IP. So we could turn 2 Drytrons. Now, this is just hypothetically, we can make Herald of Mirage Lights / Liner. Either way, it's decent follow-up. That's a follow-up. It's just more of a contingency plan, I guess. So if it's Herald, we can obviously add back Ben 10 Medionis going into our next turn, which is awesome. If it gets outed, if we get Dark Ruled, for example, it's just another thing. Obviously, if it's Liner and it gets outed by battle or card effect, we can add a Drytron. So in this instance, probably Herald is better. So we get the +2 if it gets destroyed by an opponent's card. And then just so that we can also get access to IP, we could just fire off the Nova here. It's probably a little bit more overkill. Bring out a Drytron. To turn into the IP. And then pass it there. Obviously then in our opponent's turn, we can detach the Ida 10, send our second Eva, which will banish the Ida 10 and the other Eva to search our orange light and Diviner. So with this board, we get, again, 4 negate and destroys. Should we need to use all 4, we do have follow-up with emergency. Saravis was just there throughout most of that turn as protection from Imperm, just to get our plays through. We had Herald and a Fairy to get our plays through as well. This is a spell trap negate if we need it, but obviously we've already got ultimateness, so we don't really need the negation side. But if we were to get Dark Ruled and the board would get outed, the Herald would recur back the 2 cards here, so that would be great. So that's a pretty good hand. Hopefully we can see a few more in a row like that. We don't have to necessarily play them out, but hopefully more hands like that and less bricks. Let's see. So a couple of quick ones. But I think I've seen enough to kind of see the end goal, what we're trying to achieve. And let's just see if this is playable. Yep, so this is quite playable. We've obviously got, like, this is already alpha zeta, if we needed alpha zeta, but we've also got delta as well. So there's other names. That's quite good. If we're going second, we also have dark ruler. I really like maining dark ruler in this deck because you can already access Zeus so freely and so easily. Okay, so this is really great. Obviously going second, this would be amazing. Going first, this is also fine because you've already got alpha zeta, plus they'd be backed up by 2 Veilers also. So that's really nice. Veiler can be normal summoned if it really needs to be, because it's a level 1 as well. So we've got lots of great accessing to the XEs there. Okay, well there you go, there's already combo. And awesome. So again, that's very playable. We can do plenty with that. Do a couple more. Okay, well again, there's alpha zeta, and yep, that works. Okay, now this works really well as well. Now this hand is awesome because it also then has orange light plus a fairy. This is our alpha zeta just here. We've also got a Veiler going second. Going second, we'd have 2 pretty good disruptions. Going first, we already have our full combo as well. So this hand works really well. It's very nice. And last one, obviously, so we've got those first 2 bad hands out of the way. Okay, I might play this one out just to see. Now, going second, we have Herald plus a Fairy, so that's our negation, plus we've got Twin Twisters depending on what the deck we're playing against is, although if we were to use both of these going second, we wouldn't have much of a play of our own because we actually kind of need the Diviner here to play the game. So what we'll do here first is we'll activate the emergency, and we'll use the emergency to grab. Well, I've already got Ritual Spell, so I think we grab the Alpha here because we've already got access to Ben 10 through Diviner. So we normal summon the Diviner, send the Herald, grab the Ben 10. Alpha might not necessarily open the right. Actually, it should be fine. We'll see. So from here we can, because we already have access to Ritual Spell. If you don't have Ritual Spell, I would have said probably grab Zeta there instead, because we already had access to our target off Alpha, but already got the Ritual Spell. What we're not going to have here is access to our rank 1. So we'll obviously attribute the Ben 10 for Alpha and search for might grab the E to 10 because that would give us some more plays. And Ben 10 searches us a light fairy. Diviner's level 6. So we actually can get access to, so this time we're going to be using Beatrice to send a Drytron name, probably the Gamma. So we get more names, which would get us the XEs. We can just grab the Herald here. Now, we're pretty bolstered against hand traps because we've got Orange Light plus a Fairy. Now we're going to be using the Editon right now. Well, it's going to be interesting. We'll see. Okay, so we'll use Meteonus, turn the alpha into the Editon. The Editon will activate to add back the Meteonus. Now we've got our 2 6s. We'll turn our 2 6s into Beatrice. And we're going to use Beatrice to send the Gamma, because the Gamma will give us access to our rank 1. Now, unfortunately, we're going to have to get rid of the Herald here, so we're not as hand trap proof as we would like. That's okay. So we'll use Gamma, get rid of the ultimateness. It comes out. It's going to obviously bring out the alpha alongside it. And we can overlay our 2 1s into our Mu Beta. And Mu Beta can send a Drytron card. We've got no need for Zeta, so we'll send the Delta just because it's the last name that we don't have access to that we could potentially use. Although I don't know if we're going to get much value out of it, if any. No, actually no, we can get some value out of it. We'll activate the Meteonus. What I'll do is, because we've got 1 Fairy in hand, which obviously is doing nothing on its own, we'll Meteonus here and go straight into Herald. Because this now gives us a little bit of, gives us some protection if we haven't already been stopped. We will be able to use Beatrice in our opponent's turn to get some more fairies, which is lovely. We can now target Mu Beta to add back Ritual Spell because we haven't used that effect yet. And we can use it again, detaching our other material off Mu Beta, and we can bring out Ben 10. Now we can tribute Ben 10. I see. Okay, so the reason to do it the benefit of doing it the other way around is we get the draw off the Delta. We'll leave it this way. So we'll use the Delta, tribute the Ben 10. We don't get the draw because we don't have a ritual spell or monster. We kind of sacrifice that to have the protective, the security of having the Herald of Ultimateness there. So no draw, which is unfortunate, but we will get the Ben 10 to search. Now, it's an instance like this that if I had 1 Lancia, I'd probably search the Lancia here. Could search the Eva. Obviously, Eva's on the hard ones per turn already. No, we can search the Eva. Although it's not really that necessary. Yeah, okay, we'll search the Eva, that's fine. And then lastly, we can turn these 2 into an IP or the Herald, either one, depending on what we want to do. And then obviously in our opponent's turn, we can ditch the other 10. We can send the Eva. That's why searching the Eva there probably wasn't necessary. We could have just searched another orange light. Probably what we should have done, but that's okay. And then the Eva can obviously banish the 2 fairies we don't need, which would be Diviner and the Arclight, to grab us orange light and a Diviner. So obviously the downside here is Eva is the one's hard ones per turn, so having the extra Eva here in our hand by searching it probably just wasn't required. We could have left that in deck, but that's fine. It just meant that we could protect ourselves here if we needed to. I mean, if they for example, had used Droplet or something in the standby phase, then having the Eva there is good. We've still got that access to some plays, so it's probably fine. But we've obviously got lots of negations here, IP or Herald, which is a little bit more longevity. And yeah, you can see that played out all right. But that will be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see how this performs.